Well, we welcome you back at a very warm Barcelona to the home of the championship here in the Euroformula Open. Round 7 here at Spain, and it's qualifying to kick us off ahead of the 3-part race weekend that we always bring you every time we go racing in this series. And looking to follow through in the footsteps of previous race winners in this track. They include the likes of Sandy Stuvik, Alex Palau, Colton Herter, Ferdy Habsburg, Felipe Drugovich, as well as Liam Lawson, Yifei Ye. What about Jack Crawford, as well as Oliver Goethe, Enzo Trulli, and also Brad Benavides from last year as well. We've got championship rivalries to bring you at the same time. Only 10 points separate Timek Harchik and Michael Shin at the moment, with Yevon David also down in third on 246. A very vibrant scrap for the title is very much underway, and we have only got 6 races to bring you until we bring the checkered flag down on this season's campaign. And we've got some new faces coming in as well at the same time. Let's kick things off with them as well. Nielsen Racing bringing in Theo Mikoris, who joins the grid. The 19-year-old from Bedford in the UK is a British Cypriot, of course, winning numerous karting junior titles as well between 2016 and 2028 in total, to be quite frank. In his debut in cars led him to the Hagerty Radical SR1 Cup, where he won the championship over there with 9 wins and 14 poles and 17 podiums. GB4 was then during that same campaign. He had 3 races through the course of that one, and then 2024, the Ligier European Series, of course, as part of the European Le Mans Championship at the same time, winning that championship with 11 races, 3 wins going in his back pocket after 3 poles and 9 podiums, and of course taking part in the Le Mans Cup this year too, with 1 pole and 2 podiums in 6 starts in LMP3. So now returning to single-seaters, and Theo Mikoris could be one to watch, with free practice 1 time going his way, a 1:32.824, which was in fact faster than Jose Garfias from Team Motorpark by just under 0.2 of a second. So really impressive from Theo Mikoris. So we do wish him well on his first start here in this championship. And we also welcome Rui Hengye, also known as Enzo Ye, who is no stranger to single-seater racing, either having spent most of his time this season driving in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. But the 16-year-old from Taipei, Chinese Taipei, of course, 9 karting titles at both junior and senior level from 2016 and 2022, and has also taken part in various single-seater competition as opposed to just the Formula Regional cars that he's been racing. Of course, back in 2023, F4 Southeast Asia, he took part in that championship, as well as Macau in F4 at the same time. Also racing in F4 UAE last year in 2024, taking a podium out of the 15 starts in Italian F4 and Euro4. He did 9 races in that series as well. Now joins us here in the Euroformula Open Championship. We look forward to seeing how he gets on for BVM, who are in total here. They were going to be here, I believe. Yes, they do have 3 cars this weekend, which is actually a record in place here for BVM this season, and rivaling the likes of Motorpark and also now Nielsen Racing. But George Morgan here in the commentary box, and joining me once again for the first time since Spa, it's Ewan Dunlop.
I have just come to the best tracks, mate. Spa at Barcelona. Drag me in when you need me. What a great place to be. We were walking around yesterday, weren't we, in the absolute scorching sunshine, and it's been just fantastic. And speaking to a few of the drivers, but now we finally get to see some racing in anger in our first qualifying session of the weekend. Of course, 3 races coming up. Absolutely can't wait for them. Like you said, I've not seen you since Spa, and there's been some changes, because when I left you last time, I think Yevon David was leading the championship just over Timek Harchik and Michael Shin in third. However, Timek Harchik has been on a run. 6 consecutive podiums over the last 6 races has put him on top by 10 points currently over Michael Shin. However, bear in mind the drop point scores to come. That will shake things up a little bit. And Yevon David, after winning 3 of the first 4 races, I'm going to say just 2 wins in the 12 races since then. But he did find a bit of form at the Red Bull Ring, getting 1 win there. His first one since race 3 at Hockenheim a few months ago. So this is one championship, absolutely everything to play for. Great to see 11 cars on the track this weekend. Outside the overall championship, let's not forget, which would have been, I say would have been, a foregone conclusion in the Rookie Championship. Yevon David absolutely storming with it, taking the rookie win in the first 6 races, in fact 8 of the first 9. However, Everett Stack has been slowly clawing his way back towards the Evan David. It's now 157 for David, 136 for Stack. So we're still close to like 20 points here. However, with the additional rookies coming in, because at the start of the season it was just those two, but Everett Stack took 7-point gain at Red Bull Ring with 6 races to go, all to play for. Looking at the screen now, 3 purple sectors, Ed Pearson, of course, very early on in this qualifying session. We had the mid-132s in free practice. Predictions, George, for this qualifying session?
I mean, it could go anywhere. I mean, Nielsen Racing have been very busy during the summer, so have BVM Racing, and arguably, I mean, Timek Kahacek, who has just obviously found his way to the top of the championship in recent rounds, didn't have the best of starts to this season's campaign. Pole position at Portimao, could not convert it from a lights to flag victory, and also pole at Hockenheim, could not convert that to a lights to flag victory. But since then, of course, mainly Hungaroring, where he did finally go from lights to flag after taking pole. Generally, his one-lap pace has been astonishing. No one has really held a candle to Timek Kahacek this season in Qualy. Only once has it been broken, and that was Yevon David back at Spa. Of course, in every other qualifying session, it's been Timek Kahacek on pole. So if you were to go with the money option, I would suggest that Timek Kahacek is the likely one to take the big plaudits this time. He's just gone purple, actually, inside the middle sector to match the first sector as well. Now looking to uproot Ed Pearson from the top step. Theo McCorris will do it first, though, and will put his Nielsen car on the front row and on provisional pole position. And now in comes Timek Kahacek, looking to register a purple third to match the first two. Of course, BVM's Giuseppe Mazzotti believes that this young Polish driver packs a huge weight of potential and goes fastest now once again, a 132.605. Yevon David, of course, leading the Rookies Championship, but also in the overall championship fight, moving into second fastest. The championship leaders starting to converge once more. Jose Garfias into second fastest, 73 thousandths off the top. And remember, Barcelona is one of the tracks where Garfias featured in our FIA Formula 3.
Yeah, going back to Timek Kahacek, he's been absolutely dominating. As you said, 5 of the 6 pole positions in the 6 rounds so far. However, laps in first place across this season, he's only in 3rd place. He's had 50 laps in the lead. Michael Shin's had 72, Yevon David's 75, and in fact he's 4th because Jose Garfias has had 60. So the championship leader inside the top 4 has the 4th most only laps in the lead. So he gets across the line when it matters. On the last lap, that is the most important thing to do. So into the mid-132s with Kahacek, as you say. Garfias very, very close. What's that? Less than a 10th of a second. Yevon David likewise 0.1 back. Then Barrichello, who of course got his first win in the, where was he? Paul Ricard. So he didn't take part at Red Bull Ring, but so Fernando Barrichello in his last 3 races had a win, a 3rd place and a 4th. So although he wasn't at Red Bull Ring, he is a driver on form in Euroformula.
He is. I mean, obviously, also returning off the back of his debut in FIA Formula 3 as well. We heard that, of course, he's going to have a seat there next season, and much like Yevon David, who's also confirmed for the FIA Formula 3 Championship next year too. We've got a nice flurry of drivers starting to make their way into the next realms of motorsport, lifting themselves through the tier system towards Formula 1. Jose Garfias now goes into provisional pole with a 132.500. That is just over a 10th quicker than Timek Kahacek. Everett Stack, of course, a winner last time out for the first time in our final race at Red Bull Ring, now sits in 4th place with a 132.762. And you've got to wonder as well, Ewan, a win in that last race at Red Bull Ring. After a season of trying to discover his best form, his best result was, of course, a 2nd place. He had that back at Hockenheim Ring. But that one victory can be enough sometimes just to tip the scale more in your favour.
I think you're absolutely right. It's that, I mean, you have that personal confidence, but to get it over the line in first place, it must do absolute wonder. So his 3rd podium of the season, and a 3rd place as well at Hungaroring. And he has been fairly consistent. I've been looking across the board here. Loads of 10-pointers, which in this case is 5th place. So he's always been in the top half of the field. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he can do this weekend. 4th place at the minute in qualifying. I'd love to see him get another podium, or 2 even. But yeah, the young American, 155 points. So he's not going to be challenging for the overall championship, over 100 points behind Timek Kahacek. But yeah, in terms of career progression, that'll do him a world of good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've had some tenacious, stars come through from the realms of the States in the past here in the Euroformula Open Championship, and we've had winners here as well, and also pole sitters. If you factor in Colton Herta, for example, who did it for Qualy Motorsport back in 2016, taking pole for race 1. Didn't win that one because it was Ferdy Habsburg who took that for DriveX, but Colton Herta did go on to win race 2 after Ferdy Habsburg started on pole position for that one. But cars are making their way into the pits after the initial runs. It's Garfius quickest at the moment, 1:32.500, and Garfius, of course, a race winner 3 times this season. Hockenheimring in race 2, then of course race 3 at Hungaroring, and then of course at Paul Ricard when we went to France, southern France. Victory in race 3 on that occasion. We'll be looking for more, and a driver we probably touted to be featuring in the higher end scrap, and has been on the cusp of it all season long. And I would not count out Jose Garfius in this quest for the championship, because he only sits 5 points behind Evan David at the moment, and we still have, of course, 6 races to bring you. Michael Shin, my goodness me, having a bit of a moment coming through the realms of turn 5. That's certainly not something you want to repeat as you make your way around the circuit, especially here at Barcelona. This circuit, of course, is well known for hosting the Formula 1 Spanish Grand Prix. And as it was opened, of course, we also featured as the start line for the 1991 Olympic Games cycling event. So that's another little fun fact for you as well, folks. But there is your current championship leader, Timek Kaharczyk. This season has pulled off some phenomenal performances and will look to continue to do so. 4 wins, 2 second places, 5 thirds. So in total on top of the first places that he has, of course, mustered 11 podiums if you put them all together. 5 pole positions, looking to make it 6, and now chasing yet more 25 points results, plus maybe as well if he manages to scoop up a decent fastest lap, as now we see Fernando Barrichello making his way out onto the circuit, returning back to the Euroformula Open fresh after his FIA Formula 3 debut.
Yeah, it's been the consistency of Kaharczyk which has been his put him right on top, because only 1 win in the last 8 races, but the last 6 have all been on the podium, and you're just chipping away towards that title. However, if you were, I know we can't do this, but if you were to take away Portimao and Spa-Francorchamps, the first 6 races of the season, I'm just doing some maths here. I think Jose Garfius would actually be on top, because he's had 3 wins in that time, only equal to Michael Shin. He's had more podiums overall over the last 12 races. He's been on absolute fire, Jose Garfius. So he is, what's that, 36 points off the top spot of Timek Kaharczyk. He's probably had the most dropped points to lose, also the least dropped points to lose over that top 4. So that bumps him right up there, almost alongside Evan David, not quite up to Michael Shin. But with 6 races to go, you could absolutely argue anyone of 4 can still win this title.
And we've got to factor in as well, remember, drop scores come the end of the season can really, turn the tables upside down. We've seen it time on time. You never know what's going to happen until the checkered flag comes out for the final race at race 3, and in case of this season it will be Monza when we head to the Temple of Speed next time out. But of course the 3 races here could yet set that very tone as Evan David comes over the crest of the hill, coming out of turn 11 and turn 12. Jose Garfius joining him too. 6 minutes left here in qualifying, the one and only session to take us through. Remember, of course, we have 2 reverse races after the first race, which of course conforms to the current qualifying standings that we're seeing at the moment. Of course, we have a reverse race for the top 6 inside the finishing position. So if you finish the first race with inside that top 6, you'll see that top 6 then switch up for the reverse race that we have later on. And then, of course, the reverse qualifying grid. So if it stays like this, Barrichello will feature on pole position for one of the final races of the weekend. We now watch Michael Shin make his way through up towards turn 10 at Banks, well, out of turn 10 through towards turn 11 at Banks San Bedell. Of course, has featured higher up in the rostrums over recent times. Hungaroring was a great weekend for him. Of course, his first win this season back at Hockenheimring with the fastest lap to go along with it, taking the maximum 26 points. And in fact, every time Michael Shin has won this season, he has taken it with the fastest lap So really maximising those moments when required, and that's exactly why he is in this championship fight. 10 points, as we've said, behind Timothy Kaharczyk. His quest will be to bring that gap back down and ideally switch things up to push Kaharczyk down into second place and lift himself higher as they now creep through the first sector this time around. No improvements now, but they will surely come.
So as things stand, and things can change, it would only be the second time this season, as we've mentioned already, that Timothy Kaharczyk would not start race one on pole. It would be the first time for Jose Garfias to be on pole, because the only other man that's done it so far back at Spa-Francorchamps, Yevon David. So this could be a little stickler in the championship. Of course, it's all well and good being on pole. We've seen it a couple of times this season. A few cars failing to get away, generally really early in the season. I think we're past that now, fingers crossed. And pole position, of course, should you give you a great advantage into turn one, whether you can hold it on for. The laps are, well, I think we're scheduled, the maximum time is 30 minutes, so we should get about 17 laps in during races at Barcelona. Now, I see no greens and no purples on our timing boards right now. Yeah, Yevon David pulling out of his lap, plus 2.27. But they'll get round 2 more times only before we drop to 0. So 2 more chances per car. They're all out on track now. First to start a flying lap is going to be Michael Shin. He's just stopped past the start-finish line. And he's got a good air behind him and in front as well, in fact. The rest of the cars out on track in a fair bit of traffic, looking to build a gap before they go for that flying lap. Purple sector for Timothy Kaharczyk, just over a 1/10 of a second, and that is bigger than the gap between him and Garfias on provisional pole right now.
We've got a little bit of movement as well, just coming in through the final sector. There is Kaharczyk as it stands, a 1/10.5 up based on the previous best time that was set in place by Jose Garfias. He's found more time in the middle sector, so just as the clock ticks closer to 0, Timothy Kaharczyk looking to bring that number 2 against his name down to 1 as he now comes down through towards the final 2 corners now. The pole looking to stick it back on pole. He said to me he never gets tired of hearing that. And he'll be hoping to hear it right through up towards Monza now as Timothy Kaharczyk will rise to pole position this time. Provisional pole in his pocket. Rui Hengyer also coming across the line as well. Alessandro Famolaro remaining down in 11th place as the Venezuelan, and currently sits just outside of 0.2 of a second on Ed Pearson. Yevon David with a personal best inside the first sector too. In fact, personal best inside the entirety of the top 5 coming through the first sector. Everett Stack joining them as well. Just look at the minute gaps there. 56 thousandths off the top for Everett Stack. 66 thousandths off the top for Yevon David. Theo McCorris also just over a 1/10, and Everett Stack has found purple in the middle sector. We've got purple in the first as well for Timothy Kaharczyk. It's a 37.021 now for Everett Stack inside the middle, and he'll be looking to stack the victories once again after a brilliant display back at Red Bull Ring last time around. Yevon David now stealing that purple middle sector as now we watch them all come around the final corner. Everett Stack will be first. Here comes the man from the States. Up towards the line, goes first, fastest by 26 thousandths, and that's going to continue to crumble because we got Yevon David coming across the line now. Here comes the Sri Lankan Lion as he roars back on provisional pole by just over 2.5 tenths. Cracking time there from young Yevon David, the man going to FIA Formula 3 next season, landing the first blow. But Timothy Kaharczyk also on a purple run, so far up on David's time by 54 thousandths. The gap's thinner than a fly's eyelash. Here comes Timothy Kaharczyk, can't quite grab it, 23 thousandths away from Yevon David's fastest time, as now Enzo Yeh crosses the line and goes 7th fastest. It's Yevon David with 30 seconds to go, and he's on provisional pole with a stellar 1:31.990.
Jose Garfias had a great time there too, moving up onto the second row of the grid, 0.245 back of our leader. Still more chances, so we'll go
It's
down
not
to
over
zero.
yet.
It'll go down to zero, and every single car, because Michael Shin is going to cross the start-finish line right now, so every single car on the grid is going to get one more chance to cross the line. This next 90 seconds, everything could change again. Currently, David, Kahacek, Garfias, and Stag, everybody involved in the championship. The checkered flag comes out. Here we go then. A few more chances to come.
Theo Macoris, now purple inside the first sector at the moment. Purple based on the last time set by Evan David anyway. His personal best time. Diego Della Torre's gone third fastest. Here comes the Cypriot this time. Lost a little bit of time in the middle sector, but he's still green based on his last time. So, Fernando Barrichello, sixth fastest as he crosses the stripe. We've got Evan David, who after improving inside the first sector, could not find it in the final two, but only 83 thousandths down based on his last time. Kahacek second ahead of Diego Della Torre. Here comes Theo Macoris, looking to launch himself higher up the rostrum. Only one place gained, and that's against Fernando Barrichello. Macoris pops into sixth, but it looks like it will be Evan David on pole position for the second time this season here in the Euroformula Open Championship. And didn't he just do it in style? A truly remarkable close to the session. 23 thousandths higher than Timek Kahacek, or lower than Timek Kahacek. Remember, that delta comes down. Timek Kahacek just 23 thousandths away. Can you believe it?
But not just that, there's 0.3 of a second between the top six.
Remarkable. Honestly remarkable.
Incredible.
Credit to Theo Macoris as well in his first start in the Euroformula Open Championship. Here and now this time, obviously not unfamiliar with single-seater racing, but this Dallara 324 giving the drivers plenty of joy here today at Barcelona. Evan David back on top in qualifying, and what a performance as well for the Sri Lankan Lion. The bat will surely rise here with a 1:31.990, the only 1:31 of the session. Timek Kahacek in second. No pole for the pole this time in the BVM car. Diego Della Torre, fantastic effort, third fastest ahead of Jose Garfias. It's a Mexican second row on the grid ahead of the race coming up later on this afternoon. Everett Stack in fifth, Theo Macoris in sixth ahead of Fernando Barrichello, then Ed Pearson for Nielsen Racing, Michael Shin and Rui Hengya down in 10th place as well. And to round things off, Alessandro Familara, the Venezuelan, in 11th place. But a stunning display, a fine gap between our two championship contenders, and it just had to be, didn't it? Evan David, Timek Kahacek, the two drivers that many of you probably would have cited as the staunch chances for the title. You've got to throw Michael Shin in there as well, and you could say that Michael Shin's performance in Qualy might have been slightly hindered with that venture into the gravel coming through out of turn 4.
Yeah, never really got a great flying lap, did he? It was a 1:32.5, so half a second or a second or so off the top spot. But again, Michael Shin, second place in the championship. He's had a win and a second place last time out in Red Bull Ring. He is on form, but that is not the ideal start to his weekend by some distance.
I mean, this has got to feel, phenomenal for Evan David. It's the first time since round 2 that he has taken a pole position. We have had 4 rounds since then, where, of course, it's been all Timek Kahacek in qualifying. Well, now the scale has turned, and it will be heading to the Sri Lankan's way, and he's got to be absolutely thrilled with that performance. And of course, it's got a lot closer this season between BVM and Team Motorpark, though Motorpark still lead the team's championship by a fair margin. BVM in second place, but they're finding constant improvements, and Giuseppe Mazzotti so passionate about his team, about them as a team, about them taking on this championship, and really looking to take the fight to Motorpark this season. And with Timek Kahacek behind the wheel, he certainly is a vibrant talent. But there is your pole sitter, and he's with Alfredo.
And we are with Evan David. Pole position, a good way to start the real stuff this weekend.
Yeah, second pole position of the season. Honestly, very proud. We knew we had it in the bag this weekend, but it's just qualifying. We got 3 races to go, but definitely a good way to start the weekend. Super proud of the team as well.
Yeah, and after some setbacks in recent rounds, all set for a good weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've learned from the last few races, and it's part of a championship. You know, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but what I've been really thankful for is my team is always behind me. I believe in them, they believe in me, so it's a good way to start the weekend, and we have high hopes for the races, so we'll see how it goes.
it's going to be warm.
I think it will be. I mean, we could have rain tomorrow as well, but Barcelona is an interesting track. It's a long run down to turn 1, so anything can happen, but very excited indeed.
Well done for now.
Thank you.
Well, he's got a great chance. What a time to stick it on pole as well. 2 rounds to go. 31-point gap between Jevan David and P1's Timek Kaharczyk. There's Fernando Barrichello. Do join us later on this afternoon for all the racing action as we get the Barcelona round underway. We'll see you shortly. Goodbye.